you want to be ready to put out your best possible result. You've got 7 other athletes in the boat that are relying on you, and you want to make sure you're giving them your best too.
Makes total sense, Tommy. Okay, we have a visual now of the starting line on Lake Carnegie. This, again, is the first Varsity 8 race. This is for the historic Child's Cup. Princeton is the current holder of the cup. They will look to defend that title. As we look across, it looks like we have in lane 1. Let's see. Can we tell who that is?
I think that's Penn in the farthest lane.
Okay. Lane 1, Penn.
Then Columbia and Princeton, pretty sure.
That's got to be. Okay.
Yeah, that's Nick Taylor.
We're gonna tentatively say lane 1, Penn, Columbia lane 2, lane 3, Princeton.
Certainly.
Yeah. Okay. I think we got it.
That big afro of the stroke seat in the Penn's boat, I recognize from my competition days.
From lining up against him.
Yeah, the big blonde afro. It's quite a sight.
Yeah, here we go. Okay, definitely Penn now that we have the close-ups. Penn, lane 1, Columbia, excuse me, we should actually say Penn, lane 2, Columbia, lane 3, Princeton, lane 4. The boats are currently being aligned. Princeton coxswain Connor Neal, the pride of St. Joe's Prep in Philadelphia, adjusting his point, making sure he has the perfect course for his rowers. All 3 coxswains jockeying for position here. Still have 2 hands up. It is a little gusty out there today, so we would expect that for at least these first few starts, it won't be easy to maintain a point. So these coxswains will have to actively adjust. And just like that, flag is up, flag is down, and away we go here in the first Varsity 8 event for the Child's Cup. Clean start, 3 boats across. As they approach the media launch, wow. Fast start by the Quakers. Furthest from the camera out in lane 2. The Penn Quakers shot out like a cannon. Princeton right in there. Columbia first 20 strokes just slightly off the pace, but super early stages of this race. Really focused here on just finding your own boat speed. Not too worried about what's going on around you.
That's right, Keenan. It's a 2,000-meter race, not a 100-meter race.
That's true, Tommy. What an interesting true fact. We look across here. We're through the breakage zone. All 3 crews will look to stride out to their base cadence, and the Penn Quakers out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, they are up about half a boat over the Princeton Tigers, closest to the camera in the white shirts, lane 4. But just like that, Princeton starting to reel the Quakers back in. Inching back just a touch. Penn still sitting up comfortably. Princeton up bow to stern over Columbia. We are through 500 meters. Penn gets there first. They're up a few seats here over the Tigers. Princeton now, big move. Princeton on the charge here. Connor Neal clearly calling a move from his boys. They have pulled it up to down maybe half a seat. Starting to pull it level. Princeton now level with the Penn Quakers here. 600 meters into this race. 2 boats neck and neck. Princeton will look to stay on the charge. They'll want to keep that momentum and continue to push away from the Quakers now. Once you have that momentum as a coxswain, Jake, how important is it to just make sure you keep that speed? How do you typically get your rowers to maintain momentum once you have it?
Yeah, I think momentum is huge, and yeah, really once you have it, you're in a good position. I think the key thing is trying to find some momentum when you're in a really tight race, or even when you're in a position that you don't expect yourself to be. So I definitely look to Connor Neal. I trust his work immensely, and I think he and his boys have a sense of how fast they are, and they know the things they need to work on. So I trust that Connor Neal is keeping the entire crew very calm, understands exactly when in the race they're going to push, and as we say, the Princeton Tigers seem to be maybe edging out a 1-seat lead. But I'm really impressed with how Penn is rowing. I feel like their bodies are moving really well together, and I think they really showcased their speed a little bit in this first 1,000. Pretty quick times as well in the first 1,000 meters of this race.
That's right. Yeah, Princeton in the last like 400 meters, they've really put on a charge here. Penn was maintaining that level margin, and then Princeton all of a sudden, right before the 1,000, which we know Greg Hughes, head coach Greg Hughes, Princeton Tigers, he likes to throw in big moves either right before or right after the 1,000. Threw a big one there, and you could tell that Princeton threw about 15 to 20 hard ones. They've taken, several seats. Now they're sitting up maybe half a boat, if not more, and continuing to charge ahead as we have about 7:50 to go.
Yep, and this Princeton varsity lineup is unchanged from last week's Navy race, and 6 of the 8 rowers plus the coxswain are returning from last year's IRA bronze medal crew. They felt like last week's race was just okay, so they made some changes to the race plan, and they're excited to throw it out here this week.
Having that many returners is so important because you have maturity in the boat. And so I think when a crew like Penn will jump you off the start, you have the patience, and you have the cohesiveness to be able to say, it's okay, they got out, but let's just focus on our race plan, focus on our speed, and start to reel them back in. And that's what the Tigers have done. Through 500 to go, Princeton is now up open water, just breaking open water over the Quakers. Really impressive race so far by the Quakers. They're hanging in there. They're not going anywhere. We pan back, and Columbia just slightly off the pace. They will look to it'll be them against the clock. They'll look to put in the best time here. I don't think they're going to be able to turn the margin over Penn or Princeton. But in this cup race, the Princeton Tigers have now taken 3, maybe 4 seats of open water ahead of the Quakers. We'll look for both boats to start to wind up the rating as they begin their sprint sequence. We are in the final 250. Princeton up big now. Princeton up nearly a full boat of open water over Penn. Continuing to walk away, final stages of this race. Last 20 strokes for the Tigers. I would say, barring catastrophe, the Princeton Tigers should be able to maintain this trophy.
It's a bold guess, Keenan, but let's see how the end of this race shakes out.
That's right. Final 10 strokes now for the Tigers. Looking long, looking pretty composed. Definitely build a little bit of rating. I don't know if they reach their top end gear in the sprint. Through the line now, Princeton Tigers, unofficially a time of 5:35. Penn varsity will come second, unofficially a time of 5:40, so it's about 5, maybe 6-second margin between those two crews. And to round out the field, the Columbia Lions, final couple strokes, unofficially in a time of 5:54. And that's how